Hello everybody and welcome to my gameplay of The Legend of Wano, the Devil Fruit of Time, where it's now possible to travel years into the future because of some broken paramecia item that you picked up along the way.
So Oda's making it very clear what his intentions are in terms of the Zoro versus Sanji rivalry. It's like he's saying, keep fighting, Zoro and Sanji fanboys, keep doing it. You just don't acknowledge the rivalry this way in a cover page unless you want to fan the flames a little bit. It's a very funny page because there's a bunch of ridiculous things going on that would never actually happen. Like, for example, if this actually were to go down, I can guarantee you that Chopper wouldn't be congratulating Zoro. Like, he wouldn't be staring at him in admiration. Instead, he would try and heal Sanji. He would be the doctor and try and see if Sanji was wounded. Also, Nami doesn't give a crap about the Zoro versus Sanji rivalry, so if she ever were to hug Sanji, like in this page, it wouldn't be because he beat up Zoro. That's not, that's just not how Nami works. And then apparently Sanji broke one of Zoro's katanas, like you see like a piece of it like broken off. And then apparently they've been actually beating each other up while they were asleep because they have bumps. I would like to call this chapter the incomplete history of the Kozuki clan. We learn a little bit more about Oden. We find out that he was a bit of a troublemaker, which makes sense. I mean, you have to be a little bit of a rebel to be invited to join Whitebeard's ship and then later on Roger's ship. So that kind of goes along with what we know. I suspect he was getting into fights for the right reasons. Otherwise, Luffy wouldn't sympathize with him in this chapter. He had a very weird hairstyle and he also had a katana. And the thing about katanas, like, we've seen new ones almost every single chapter. So I really want Oda to, at some point, give us a list about the characters that have the 12 Saiho Wasumono, the 12 rarest swords, then the 21 Wasumono great swords, which are the ones below the 12, and then the 50 Ryo Wasumono. Just a character list of who has which sword. Because last week we learned that Shogun Orochi is a two-style user. He uses two blades, and you can tell because the little kid in the classroom is pretending to imitate him, and he's using two rulers as swords. I don't know if that sets him up to be Zoro's opponent or whatever, but I just genuinely want to know more about these swords. Then again, I also understand why Oda would want to keep some of those swords' identities a secret, just to have a reveal mid-fight or in the beginning of a fight where an opponent reveals that he has one of the 12 Saiho Wasumono swords, one of the rarest swords, and you get hyped up even more. I kind of want to know how Oden got along with his father, like what kind of relationship he had with him, because apparently Oden was exiled to Kuri because he was just getting into too many fights in the flower capital. And then later he proved his worth, I guess. He fought Ashura Doji, the biggest, baddest guy around in Kuri, and then he made everything better for the people of Kuri. And then I guess his father rewarded him with becoming a daimyo. But regardless, I kind of get the feeling from this chapter that Oden had a very rocky relationship with his dad because he was exiled. I think the Shogun, Oden's dad, would have the authority to exile people into different locations. So I'm guessing his father was the one who exiled him. And even then, Kinemon says that Kuri was a mess, just a violent piece of land, like a bunch of blood was being spilt. So maybe Oden was actively rebelling against his father because everything was like cool and dandy in the capital, but there was a bunch of violence going out outside it, and Oden's like, I guess he was trying to let his dad know, there's people dying in Kuri, you have to stop this, and if you won't stop this, then I will. And I don't know if Ashura Doji will have some connection with Zoro's Ashura mode at all, or if it's just like a, kind of like a minor irrelevant detail, but whatever. The point is that Oden apparently was very focused on bringing people together and connecting places. So much so that eventually he just decided to say, now I want Wano to be connected to the rest of the world. We see where Zoro ended up in this chapter, and there's like a dead tiger right beside him. So I don't know if he took him out. But he's about to board, I think, one of these boats, one of these little ships. And if you look at the middle panel and you follow the water trail, those boats are headed towards the factories. So maybe that's where he's going to end up. Either that or, the only place that I could think of that he could be headed towards if he boards one of those ships is Onigashima Island. Oni means ogre, yokai, monster, ogre in Japanese. There's a picture of it. It's very popular in Japanese folklore, and Shima means island, so it kind of translates into the land of the ogres. And I don't know if this island is the birthplace of characters like Ors Jr. and Ors, the continent puller. But it seems like it would be, and so I don't know, if Zoro takes a ship, he might end up there 2 weeks earlier than everybody else, which I think would be hilarious. The thing here, though, is that I think those 2 weeks have to be used to train, especially for Luffy. I really like the design that we got in this chapter for the island. Like, in true pirate fashion, it reminded me of something out of Peter Pan, or like King Kong's Skull Island. The invasion is set to take place the night of the Fire Festival, which I guarantee you that during that night there's going to be a full moon, because the minks are waiting on that to get the power boost for their Sulong form to be able to fight at their full potential. I've actually said this before back in Whole Cake Island with Capone and his plan to take down Big Mom, but I'll say it again here. The only reason for why Oda is letting us know that this is a plan that they have is so that the plan can go wrong. It's not going to go as smoothly as Kinemon makes it out to be. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody discovers the samurai's identity, or if the Straw Hats get into trouble, or somebody gets kidnapped and they're like, okay, the plan is exposed, we got to do it, we got to rush it, we got to just go, go, go. They're making it seem like they're just going to sail over to that island, Game of Thrones style, with their fleet, and then just knock on Kaido's door and take everybody by surprise. I guarantee you that is not going to be the case. Anyway, we still don't know where Sunisha is, but we do know where Inuarashi is now. He's at the beach, having a flashback about his time with Oden. And not just his time, but also Nekomamushi's time. And they look really cute in that flashback. And I believe that's the same beach that Luffy ended up on in the beginning of the arc. Being afraid of those who look differently only highlights your ignorance. So Inuarashi is crying because Oden wasn't a racist. And also, we find out in this chapter when Inuarashi and Nekomamushi started fighting. They started fighting after Oden's execution, as they were making their way to the castle. And so I'm pretty sure that at one point we'll find out exactly what started the argument. I mean, they were obviously pretty emotional because Oden had just been killed. This argument lasted for 20 years, and it wasn't until recently where the Straw Hats and the rest of the samurai arrived in Zou where it actually ended. And so it also adds a little bit more perspective to the Zou arc, where they start crying when they realize that the samurai are there. Because Inuarashi and Nekomamushi were not part of the time jump. They actually lived those 20 years without knowing whether the samurai had survived or not. It was only until Raizo arrived in Zou. I'm pretty sure Raizo probably told them, yeah, Kinemon and Kanjuro and Momonosuke, they're still alive. But they went on for 20 years without knowing anything because they got caught by Orochi's subordinates. They were intercepted on their way to the castle. This also explains why back in Zou, Kinemon said something to the effect of like, "Oh, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, I'm so glad that you're all right. I'm so glad that you're doing well, alive," or something to the effect of that, because he didn't know what happened to them. So that makes sense. And now Oden's history, Oden's past is revealed. We don't get to learn everything from it. There's a bunch of facial expressions, and there's a panel where you see the Komainu, and there's just shock. Like there's like these lines to signify shock, and in that same panel you see Beppo on the ground, and judging from his expression, I'm guessing that he still has diarrhea. But anyway, now this opens up a window because the characters have more information about Oden than we do. And that's not a problem, but especially, I guess I'm not used to that. Like when it comes to Luffy, like usually I'm used to discovering things along with Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats. Although, like characters like Robin have always known way more than what they tell us. But for this instance, it's kind of like, oh man, I really wanted to know more about Oden. You know, they're getting really emotional, like, you know, just reacting to the story. So there's something big here. It kind of reminded me of that moment in Naruto where Itachi whispers something into Sasuke's ear, and we don't get to find out what that is until later on. But the reason for why we didn't get that back then was because that would ruin the reveal about Itachi actually kind of being a good guy. So maybe if we find out what Oden's past was truly about, it would ruin a reveal that will come up later up in the story. I mean, even Sanji looks shocked, and he's not an easy character to shock, so I guess we'll find out later. So they escaped the execution area, the flower capital, because they were trying to save Momonosuke's life. So they even left Inuarashi and Nekomamushi behind because they really wanted to ensure the safety of Momonosuke, and when they got to the castle, it was already burning. And you see a shot of Kaido, and a shot of 3 guys. One of them is obviously Jack. So are those supposed to be the disasters, the 3 calamities that work under Kaido? It would seem like it, right? One of them could actually be a woman, I don't know. But the one in the middle actually reminds me a lot of Pika, like a more sinister version of Pika, of you know, his uniform and his armor and stuff. And in fact, that same character in the middle, he almost kind of looks like he could be a Cyclops, because he has like a helmet that has like an opening for an eye. I also think there has to be a narrative reason for why Oda decided not to show us the face of Lady Toki and Momonosuke's sister Hiyori. I think he's keeping that a secret because there's going to be a reveal later on. Maybe it's somebody we already know, who knows. I actually went back to check the graves, and I noticed that there's actually four structures with the pointy top, so now it all checks out. One's for Momonosuke, one's for Oden, one's for Lady Toki, and one's for Hiyori. So all actual family members of the Kozuki get the pointy top graves, or the pointy top tombstones. Now here's the thing about this though, is that I know they said in this chapter that thankfully you can't travel to the past, so you can't mess up the timeline that way. So that's great. However, because you can travel to the future, it kind of opens up a lot of questions about, wait, is this character from the past then? That's what the introduction of the Time Fruit does in this series. It kind of gets you questioning and doubting about the characters that we've previously been introduced to. And you're like, wait a minute, is this character actually from the present timeline? Or were they sent to the future from a past time? So, you know, Lady Toki, was she alive during the Void Century? Where's Imu from? Is Imu from the Void Century or even before then? Who knows? You can literally have characters that are from the time of the Ancient Kingdom running around and nobody would bat an eye. So again, it just opens up this can of worms. In other words, this time fruit just kind of gives people that are into theories more to work with, you know, just more material to come up with these theories. And some of them are already crazy enough. So Lady Toki sends this group of 5 people into the future, 20 years into the future. My question is, what did she do with her daughter? What happened to Hiyori? Like, I don't think she would be the kind of mother to just hold on to her and burn alive. Like that would just be really messed up. Really, I don't know. I think she had a plan for her. So maybe she sent Hiyori to maybe 10 years into the future. I don't know. Maybe it's a character that we already know. Maybe she sent her 20 years into the future as well, but to a different place. If you ask me, I'm just gonna like lay it out there. I think the girl, Momonosuke's sister, could be O-Tama. They're both 8 years old, so maybe they were twins or something, and then they both can rule the land of Wano as siblings together by the end of this arc. It could be O-Tama or it could not be. Maybe it's a character that we've never seen before, brand new character, or maybe it's a character that we have seen before, but grown up or something. But the reason for why I'm saying this, the reason why I'm putting out this idea is 2 reasons. Number one, I do remember when O-Tama was introduced, she was shouting things like, oh, you'll pay once the Kozuki clan comes back and regains power or something like that. And so for a kid to be saying that, it's a little bit weird. It's like, how did she become such a strong sympathizer for the Kozuki clan, especially at such a young age? I mean, I know she has contact with the Tengu or whatever, but still, it's a little bit weird. Also, Kinemon says in this chapter that by the time they went back, like they were in Wano after the time jump, like people already hated the Kozuki clan. So for a little girl to just be so sympathetic towards it, it's a little bit weird. It's also a little bit strange that Oda decided to not have Tama here hearing this story with us, just like he decided to send Zoro to a different place. He decided to separate Tama from the group here as well. However, I will say that maybe this is wrong, and maybe the reason for why it's wrong is because if this was really Tama, if Hiyori was actually Tama, maybe Kiku should have recognized her when they met up. Wow, I think I just shot myself in the foot there. I think I just disproved my own theory. And that's the point. That's what you guys should be doing. When you hear these crazy things, you gotta fact check. You shut that shit down. If Lady Toki is dead, then that means that somebody in this verse has to have that time fruit ability. I wonder who. I mean, that's a broken ability to have. I've made jokes in the past about Shanks, like, you know, being able to teleport to different places because he just makes these sudden appearances. But I don't know. I mean, there's just very little evidence at this point. Now, if she died there
and either Kaido or Orochi were around for that and they know how to transfer devil fruit powers after a person dies into a fruit, then maybe the power is still in Wano, and maybe it went to either Orochi or one of his men or one of Kaido's men. Also, when you compare the information from this chapter with the previous one, it's easy to find out that the prophecy that Lady Toki made, she actually made it after she sent the group of 5 into the future. So she performed the time jump ritual, and then she made the prophecy. And we know this because in this chapter, Kinemon is barely finding out about the prophecy from this guy called Jibuemon, right? He's telling them about the prophecy that took place. So they made the jump, Kinemon had no idea, and then they found out about the prophecy of the 9 shadows and the 20 years. Also, in the panel that we got last week, we saw that she was making this prophecy, but she was alone. Her daughter wasn't near her, so I'm guessing that by that time she had already found a safe place for her, or she had already sent her to another location. Or maybe she was holding her and decided to give her a little push into the fire. That was a really bad joke. I apologize for that. But here's the thing, okay? This guy called Jibuemon, he says he's Jibuemon of the Kibi, okay? Now if you look up the word Kibi, another word is associated with that, and that's dango. So it's Kibi dango. It's a type of Japanese millet dumpling, okay? Now here's I'm going to read you this to see if it rings any bells. So it says, a kibi dango is a Japanese dumpling made from the meal or flour of the kibi, which is a type of grain, okay? The treat was used by folktale hero Momotaro to recruit his 3 beastly retainers in the commonly known version of the tale. So who do we know that has the power to give pieces of dango to animals and recruit them or make them follow their orders? Tama, right? So I'm pretty sure that these guys from the Kibi are actually the people who taught Tama about the Kozuki clan, or maybe they gave her the devil fruit ability that she has now, but at the very least there has to be some connection with the Kibi and Tama, the guys with moon tattoos on their ankles. We get a page of flashbacks to previous islands, Zoe, Dressrosa, and Punk Hazard, and I think this could be interpreted in one of 2 ways. Either this is Oda straight up gloating and saying, see, I foreshadowed this. You have no idea how long ago I was foreshadowing this. You know, ever since Punk Hazard, come at me. You better trust me from now on. So it's either Oda gloating, or it could just be like a reminder for younger readers, like what he was doing during the Reverie, remember, with other characters, where he was saying like, this character appeared in this arc, and here's a mini summary of what they did or what they're about, in case you forgot, for younger readers. It is kind of nostalgic though, because I'm looking at these panels and I'm thinking, man, like this was so long ago. Then you have this panel of Kinemon talking about them being 5,000 strong, and you see this crowd of people lined up. You see the alliances lined up in the background. And I have to be honest, that panel is the first time where it just kind of registered. Like ever since I started thinking about Wano and what Wano was going to be, this is the first time where it just kind of clicks that this is a full-on war. Like this is an arc that is going to be at the level of Marineford when it comes to conflict and confrontation. Kinemon says it's not our intention to start a war here, but I mean, come on. You don't say that with an army right behind you. Like that's just not how it works. So it got me thinking like, oh my, like this is it. Like this is what Oda's doing. And then it goes back to what Kaido said when he first got introduced, when he fell out of the sky, when he says, Joker, make the preparations. It's time to start the greatest war this world has ever seen. Now it makes sense. Now it's like, oh, I'm beginning to see it now. Okay. And that panel, by the way, is not even including the supernova, the admirals that Akainu was planning on sending here, nor the Big Mom pirates, which, you know, Big Mom showed that she was interested in getting a piece of this too. So, the way I understand it is that in terms of scale, in Oda's mind, it's like, Marineford is here, the War for Wano is over here, and then the final war arc will be over here. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I thought the chapter was really good. The invasion begins in 2 weeks' time, so if we were ever going to cut back to the Reverie, I think this chapter would be it. This would be the segue into that. But I'm good. No matter what happens, if we stay in Wano, I'm good.
If we go to the Reverie, I'm good. But it's 2 weeks, so better get the training. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you guys later. Bye.